We've had quite a lot of messages just in relation to central bank lending rules and whether exceptions are back and available on market. So I thought I'd just go through what the current status is. So right now the lenders are looking at exceptions on very much a case-by-case basis where they have capacity to grant exceptions. So overall the lenders can offer exceptions on a small portion of their book of business. So in January the exception books open. So it runs on a calendar year basis, January to December. This year has been quite a different year for exceptions as well as everything else. So at the moment the lenders, so since April really, the lenders have paused exceptions just until they understood kind of what level of lending they would do for the rest of the year and where they could apply exceptions. So the lenders have very slowly and tentatively come back to market offering exceptions in a limited capacity. So in most cases you have to be sale agreed in a property, so you have to use that exception if they're granting you one because they're in such short supply. So the fairest thing the lenders think is to offer exceptions where somebody is sale agreed and where they really need that exception. So exceptions are, just to kind of cover it off, they were brought in 2015 by the central bank to form resilience in the mortgage market. So they kind of capped the level you could of allowable income at 3.5 times multiple of your allowable income, and then they also allow lending up to 80% loan to value for second time buyers, 90% for first time buyers. Now as a second time buyer you can get an exception either to loan to income or loan to value, but not both. And then for first time buyers they tend to look for loan to income exceptions to go over the 3.5 times allowable income. So as we all know, it's really difficult, particularly in the cities, given property prices, to sometimes a lot of people do need exceptions or do require exceptions. So the way the lenders are working at the moment is they paused in April just until they got a sense as to where the market was. Now they're opening, as I say, tentatively. Some lenders are offering exceptions where loan to values are lower, so they'll go do a loan to income exception if your loan to value is less than 75%, which is a big ask on deposit. Other lenders will offer exceptions where you are sale agreed, where you're ready to move forward to loan offer, and when you're going to be closing this year. Other lenders then will offer exceptions for second time buyers, so they might have capacity within their second time buyer limits to offer exceptions. So it's really on a case by case basis, but understanding which lender will offer an exception to you and when is the important point. So at Doddl we deal with 8 lenders, so we have full scope as to what lenders will offer, and the timelines, the requirements, the rules around exceptions, because they're all very different. If you even look at allowable income or what's classed as allowable income, the lenders all have different rules on that, because some lenders will take more shift allowance into account, some lenders will even take restricted stock units into account, or RSUs, which they used to before. Other lenders will take into account overtime, bonus. Some lenders won't take bonus now due to COVID. So there's a lot of different, variances in terms of what the lenders will take into account as allowable income. So the first point is to understand what you can achieve, what your allowable income figure is, and what that would mean across various lenders. If you do then need an exception, it's really important to understand how you can achieve an exception, what you'll need to show, and what lenders are offering exceptions. It's really down to capacity and what the lenders have in terms of capacity, because again, they're only allowed to apply exceptions to a small portion of their book of business. In January, it's expected that the exception books will open again. The exceptions run on a calendar year basis. So in January, every other year since 2015, the exceptions would open. The lenders would outline, earlier on. So they outline November, December time to us, how they're going to apply exceptions, what their lending policy is going to be in relation to exceptions. And then we would know what that is so we can advise clients, because clients tend to come to us before they actually want to make the application just to understand what they can achieve. So it's planning for that. So I suppose at Doddl, we're looking at what's achievable now, and then we're looking with some other customers as to who are planning for January or maybe early next year to make a mortgage application, what they can achieve, what's realistic. Because again, I've seen on social media a lot of people saying that exceptions are a bit available, but really you just have to be mindful and conscious of what is achievable and what level you will be allowed to achieve if an exception is granted to you. So 3.5 times is the standard, 3.5 times allowable income. If you get an exception, in general and broadly, 4 times is the standard. In some cases where your income is over certain limits, you can go to 4.5, 4.25, 4.5, 4.75 times limits. So again, the beauty of a mortgage broker in particular and a platform like Doddl is that we work with 8 lenders. So across market, there's such differences into what you can borrow under central bank rules, and then also by way of an exception, it's really important to understand what's achievable and also marry that with a rate that's really strong for you. So there's no point in being able to borrow a lot more money if you're getting a really uncompetitive rate. So at Doddl, that's what we do. We look and see what your circumstances are, what suits you best, and what lenders to approach for your mortgage application. So if you're looking for exceptions, be mindful of the fact that it depends on the lender. There will be certainly exceptions available, I would expect, in January across market, but right now it's very niche, and lenders are offering exceptions on a different bases. So it depends on what your requirements are, what your situation is, whether you're a first-time buyer, what your loan to value is, etc. But it's important to get market-based advice from a broker, so that you know across market what you're eligible for, as opposed to just going to one bank who'll have their own policy and perhaps won't have exceptions available, or won't, have the right exception for you, whether you're a first-time buyer or not, etc. So be sure to contact us at Doddl if we can help, or if you have any queries in relation to exceptions. It's really difficult, totally get that, and it's a really stressful time, and being told that there's exceptions there and then not being able to achieve one is so frustrating. So be sure to let us know. Contact one of our advisors if you'd like to plan for next year, or if you want to know whether you'd be eligible for exception